All right, let's get into it. Today, we're looking at a story that's a wild mix of Main Street business, super advanced AI, and yeah, a $1 billion ambition. And it all kicks off with what looks like a tiny deal down in the American South.
So, on the surface, it's pretty straightforward, right? A tech company called Propy just went out and bought a local title firm in Alabama, a place called Delta South Title. You might see that news and just scroll on by. But you'd be missing the real story.
Because this isn't just any deal. No way. The real story, the juicy part, is why they did it. And trust me, it pulls back the curtain on this high-stakes game plan that could totally change how AI takes over traditional local businesses everywhere.
Okay, so first things first, let's break down the deal itself. This is really a classic tale, you know? You've got the super modern tech company meeting a classic, old-school, traditional business. All right, let's get to know who's who in this story. In one corner, you've got Propy. They're the tech firm, all about title and escrow software. And in the other corner, Delta South Title, a real local institution down in Mobile County, Alabama. But here's the kicker. This isn't just some random purchase. This is the very first move in a whole new, really aggressive strategy for Propy. And this is where things get really interesting. See, this one little purchase, it's basically the first domino to fall in a way, way bigger plan, all powered by some serious tech. Yeah, that's $100 million. Propy isn't just dipping its toes in the water here. They've put $100 million on the table. And that's not just to buy one company. That's a full-on war chest to fund an entire campaign. So what's the goal? Well, they want to build a totally new kind of real estate empire, and AI is going to be the engine. So what exactly is this plan? They're calling it an AI roll-up strategy. And honestly, the idea is pretty simple but also kind of genius. You go out and buy up a bunch of smaller independent companies. In this case, title firms. You know, the folks who handle all that crazy paperwork to make sure a property sale is legit. Then you merge them all into one giant entity. But here's the secret sauce. You inject Propy's own AI into every single part of the process. The goal? To make everything faster, smarter, and yeah, a whole lot more profitable. And Propy isn't just buying randomly. They have a very specific shopping list. They're looking to snap up about 10 independent title firms across the country, and they're looking for ones valued at around $10 million, bringing in between $5 and $50 million in revenue. But look at that last point. That's the most important one. Strong local roots. They're not just buying balance sheets. They're buying decades of local trust. And that right there is exactly why Delta South was the perfect first target. I mean, look at that. They control a massive 40% of the market in their county. That makes them the go-to local player, a name people know and trust. And for Propy, that kind of foundation is pure gold. But look, a deal like this isn't just about market share and dollar signs, right? It's about people. It's about their goals, their fears. To really get what's going on here, you have to look at the two CEOs and figure out what drove them to make this happen. So first up, you've got Propy CEO Natalia Karyanieva. And her vision? It's all about empowerment. She's not just saying, hey, we're buying you. She frames it as giving these local powerhouses the AI tools to completely supercharge their business. We're talking doubling their deal capacity and maybe even tripling their profits. It's a pretty compelling pitch. And then, on the other side of the table, you have Kyle Couch, the owner of Delta South. And his motivation? Totally different. It was about survival. He was literally afraid of getting left behind. He saw this massive AI wave coming and knew that his business, even though it was successful, was getting bogged down. I mean, they were literally turning away customers because they were drowning in paperwork. For him, this deal wasn't just a sale, it was a lifeline to the future. So you've got these two completely different motivations, right? But they both lead to the exact same solution. Propy's goal is to scale, use tech to build a national empire. Delta South's goal is to survive, use that same tech to protect their business from becoming obsolete. One's on offense, the other's on defense. And AI is the bridge that brings them both together. It's pretty fascinating. Okay, and all of this brings us to the end game, the big picture. Why the huge $100 million fund? Why is everyone in such a hurry? Well, it's because Propy is in a flat-out sprint for a massive, massive prize. Yep, $1 billion. That's the target. That's the number on the wall. This entire AI roll-up strategy is basically designed to be an express elevator to that magic billion-dollar valuation. In this timeline, wow, it really puts their ambition into perspective.
If they just kept growing the way they were, organically, they figure it would take about 5 years to hit that billion-dollar mark. But with this new strategy, buying up companies and plugging in AI, they think they can crush that timeline down to just 18 months. That's not just growth, that's acceleration on a whole different level. So, it is so important to remember this. That deal in Alabama, it's not a one-and-done thing. It's the blueprint, it's the template for everything that comes next. The plan is simple: rinse and repeat. Find another trusted local leader, buy them, and plug them into the AI-powered machine. Which really leaves us with one last big question to chew on, right? We just saw how a pillar of the local real estate community in Alabama got totally transformed by this wave of AI investment. It really makes you wonder, as this whole thing speeds up, is the trusted local expert in your town, whether they're in real estate or accounting or anything else, next on the list to get an AI upgrade?